everybody, welcome back to SoCal Sports Report. My co-host Bobby DeMuro. I'm Ailis, Garcia. We're 8 weeks into this.
That's 2 months.
It's almost like half a semester if you're in school.
We're not in school, but we are at Cal State Fullerton, so that's something.
We are, and we're actually talking about schools this week in
It's
Southern
true.
California, and about college and high school as well. First topic, though, Mark Sanchez and Matt Barkley were the poster child quarterbacks for USC and also at Mater Dei, where they went to high school in Orange County. What future do they have in the NFL? They're not, Sanchez has been out due to an injury. He had 2 really great seasons as a rookie in the NFL with the Jets.
Yeah.
And then kind of went downhill after that and obviously did not play this last season. And Matt Barkley spent his first season as the 3rd-string quarterback with the Eagles. So what's their future in the NFL?
I like Barkley. I think Barkley, just 1 season, 3rd-string quarterback, he has more to prove, and he really has time to prove in the pros, and somebody will give him a shot if it's not the Eagles. The Eagles look like they're going to go with Nick Foles as starter, which is, he did well for them, so that's fine. If you're going to do that, either have Barkley be a backup or trade him. I'm a proponent of sending him to the Chargers. Let him back up Phillip Rivers for a while until Rivers gets injured or old or whatever, and then give Barkley a Southern California starting QB job where he knows. But I think for Barkley, it's too early to call him. You couldn't call him a bust. You couldn't call him bad. It's too early. You got to give him a few years.
It's too early, and I think that they should definitely give him another year with the Eagles as the backup quarterback now. So I think he will have a chance to at least show more of what he has, because he wasn't really able to prove anything with what he played this season.
And remember, his senior season, he missed the bowl game because of a bad injury, had surgery, and so he's always been kind of recovering from that.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see what he does this year and next year more so than last year.
For
Sanchez, on the other hand,
I've heard that he's actually really hot, like in the market right now. That there are actual NFL coaches that are ready to sign him if he walks through the door. We don't know what team. I've heard maybe the Raiders.
Oh, great. Well, then, the Raiders always need a quarterback. Ailis will also play for the Raiders. Sanchez will get a job just by virtue of the way the NFL works with quarterbacks. If you have experience like he does, somebody will always take a flyer on you.
Right.
Absolutely. Somebody will give him a job. He'll back up somebody. He'll do whatever. So he will get a job. But
not with the Jets.
Not with the Jets, and he had that secret knee surgery. I mean, makes it sound more clandestine than it was, but a knee surgery that was unreported.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. This is his 2nd knee surgery. This is on his left knee. He had a right knee surgery, I believe.
Last year, about 18 months ago.
Yeah. So 2 knees now and a shoulder.
Throwing shoulder for a quarterback.
And I'm a huge Mark Sanchez fan. Mark, if you're watching this, please tweet me.
He's not watching, but it's great to hear that you're a fan.
Yeah, no, I like Mark Sanchez. Obviously, I was at USC when he played and was quarterback. At the same time, Matt Barkley was as well. But I really want to see him do well. And I want to see him come back.
Ailis was at USC for the Mark Sanchez era and the Matt Barkley era. She was
and also the Kiffin era.
She was on the 9-year plan. It took her a decade to graduate. No, I'm just kidding.
In 4.
In 4. That was a big era for USC. No, Sanchez, he's not done, but he is done. And what I mean by that is he'll keep getting chances, but how valuable are those chances going to be? Does he ever start for anybody? Does he ever positively impact a team anymore? Probably not. But look, it's tough to play quarterback in the NFL. He did get a few good years. He's okay. He's mediocre.
But you know what? Actually, it's not funny, but it's actually really interesting because Pete Carroll actually last week, or after the Super Bowl, gave his blessings and said that Mark Sanchez was actually going to be just fine and going to come back even stronger than ever.
Speaking of Pete Carroll, who backed up Russell Wilson and played in the Super Bowl? Tavares Jackson. That name has been in the NFL for 10 years as a semi-backup, semi-starting quarterback. If Tavares Jackson can get the backup job on a Super Bowl winning team, there is room somewhere for Mark Sanchez.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Now, speaking of that, next topic, high schools in California. You know way more about this than I do, so...
Well, just because I'm from here, obviously being in Orange County, Mater Dei and Survey are 2 really top sports-centric high schools. Survey's actually an all-boy high school, all male, so...
Sounds like torture.
Yeah, I would go. It's like a fraternity. Anyways...
We're learning a lot about Ailis.
Should parents send their kids to high schools that are predominantly sports high schools, really good at all the sports that they have, or should they send their children to schools that maybe aren't known for their sports, but where their child can stand out as an athlete?
As a 18, 19, 20-year-old, I had one answer to this question. As a 27-year-old, I have a little bit of a different answer, but both of them are actually kind of similar. It's good to go to a pro sports high school. as long as that's not the only thing you're doing.
Right.
But it's good because any opportunity that gives you the chance to get a college scholarship, have college paid for, maybe be accepted to a college you wouldn't have otherwise been accepted to, I think is a positive thing. At the biggest level, at the USCs, at the Auburns, admitting kids who maybe shouldn't be in college and admitting them just as football players, from an academic standpoint, that's unfortunate. But in the mid-major level, in non-revenue sports, take baseball for example, I went to a very, very good academic college in part because of my baseball ability that maybe I wouldn't have had the opportunity to go to otherwise. I think it's a win-win for almost every kid in that situation.
Right. I think that you do have a lot more resources available to you if you go to a pro sports high school versus a high school that isn't great at anything or doesn't have great coaching or whatnot. But if you go to a high school that maybe isn't focused on sports and you strategize, kind of like taking an SAT class for academics, and focus on sports outside and really dominate in your high school and be that star player that everybody looks at, that colleges see as a true standout, I think that's an advantage too.
Here's an example. I'll use me as an example again. I went to an inner city high school in Colorado, very bad, not bad, but very mediocre baseball program in a very mediocre baseball league. All the sports stars were in the suburbs. Not unlike LA, the sports stars are in the suburbs in baseball at least. I got noticed because of how well I did in the league. A little bit inferior competition, but I was good enough to then hack it and go to college. But I stood out in that regard in exactly what you talked about.
Right. Yeah. So I think that if you strategize, well, you didn't. I don't know if you strategize that, but I think that maybe parents are thinking about these things more so now, and so I think there's a strategy. There's a strategy into getting into college, into applying, to college and school. I think it's the same thing for sports.
And it's the exact same as sports. And nowadays, when you ask the question, should you go to a big sports high school to get scouted, or do you go to your local high school? The big sports high school helps, like we're saying, but you can go to your local high school and then you take an iPhone camera and send in recruiting videos. I mean, it's that simple with technology. There are so many showcases, there's so many tournaments, there's so many scouting, whatever going on, that if you have a little bit of time, and unfortunately a little bit of money, which not everyone does, you can travel these showcases, travel on these traveling teams, play AAU basketball, play traveling weekend baseball, whatever it is, and still get noticed by scouts, even if you're not at Servite or whatever the big high school is.
Well, even going back to my high school, Aaron Brewer is the snapper for the Denver Broncos, who just played in the Super Bowl, and he had said that he actually found a coach that helped him at Troy, where we were a pretty decent team at the time, but that helped him, and they laid out a strategic plan to help him get not only to San Diego State, but also to pro football.
And his is the best case scenario, but even the worst case, if he just got to San Diego State and even if he never played, he got college paid for.
And he got
and if you get a degree with college paid for, you're leaving college ahead of the game. Not all those guys get degrees, unfortunately, but...
Yeah. Well, anyways, unfortunately, we do not have our time for our last topic.
It's a
good one, so we'll have to save that for next week.
It's not that we don't have time, it's just a teaser.
Should we tease them a little bit with it?
Well, I guess we'll ask this question. You can comment below if you want to. If you were a professional athlete or a coach or whatever, what brand or what company would you want to endorse? Ailis has like 100 of these. I've got one really specific.
What if I'm already endorsed?
Well, you are kind of endorsed. But I got one specific funny one. I know she's got 100, but that's the question we're going to ask next episode, and we want your input, guys.
Yeah, so actually let us know below now. And then we'll get back to you next week. So that'll be great. And if you like this segment, if you like this episode, if you like SoCal Sports Report, not only comment below, like us, tweet us, get a hold of us.
Get a hold of us. And by the way, we're out of topics. We don't know what to talk about next week besides this. So if you got some topic ideas, throw it this one.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for this week. I'm Ailis Garcia, Bobby DeMuro, and we'll see you next week.